1 2 1 2. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Motive for the final time here in the Clio Cup this season for season 14 here on Project Cars 2. We are at Silverstone on the national configuration tonight. The most exciting, I think, of all the configurations of Silverstone. Very close, tightly packed racing, and with cars like the Clios, it always produces an absolutely fantastic spectacle. I'm looking forward to tonight. This one, the finale of the season. Obviously, the championship's still very much on the line here tonight, with plenty of drivers, 3 drivers actually to be exact, still in contention with a shout of winning this season's title. And it's currently Ollie Marr who has the lead in terms of before the drop rounds come into play. It's Ollie who leads the championship on 592 points. He's 76 points ahead of Mike, who sits in second on 516, and you've got John Boy in third on 494 points. But the big news with the drop rounds coming in this season, obviously most people would sit there and think, well, Ollie's got it wrapped up, you know, that's it, job done. But obviously this season we've got a drop round format coming into play, which means that everybody drops their worst result of the season. So ultimately what it is that you take the round that that scored the least points in, so there's 3 races per round. You take the round that they scored the least points in throughout the season and you drop that from their total points. And because John Boy and Mike have both missed a round this season, they dropped 0 points. So that 518 points that Mike's got, and obviously the John Boy 494, means that both of those two sit on that exact number, whereas Ollie, who leads the championship with 592 points, he drops down to 516 points. He drops 76 points because he's been so consistent this season. His worst result of the season was 76 points. I know, go figure, that's a lot of points. You get 32 points for a race win. There's 96 points plus 3 bonus points, so that's 99 points that you can rack up. No, actually 6 bonus points per round. So there's a maximum of 102 points on the table per round. His worst result of this season has been 76 points. So he's been unbelievably consistent over the course of this season. But he's got the lead of the championship. Obviously, with the drop round coming into play, it means that Mike is actually our new championship leader on 518 points, ahead of Ollie, who's in second on 516. So there's 2 points separating Mike and Ollie coming into tonight. And John Boy in third on 494 points. He's technically 24 points off of our de facto championship leader Mike, so it's still reasonably close. John Boy's still in there, and I'll tell you what, if Mike and Ollie were to have a collision or something were to go wrong in this first race of the night, or the second race, or even the third race I suppose, then it could really throw John Boy a lifeline here, depending on what his results are over the course of tonight. So it's definitely still game on here for John Boy. Obviously, John Boy is a former champion of the Clio Cup. He won the title in season 10. Mike is a 3-time champion, having won it in season 11, 12 and 13. And obviously Jay was the other champion in season... No, Jay hasn't won the Clio Cup, sorry. It was who is it who won in season 9? No, I think we voided it. I think we voided the season in season 8 and 9. Season 7 I think was the only G. Season 6 might have been Motoring Morgan, I think. Can't remember now, it's a long time ago. In fact, if I work the other way, actually, probably be a bit more logical. I know JR Lock and Load won the first season, season 1. Season 2 was Motoring Morgan, or was it? No, it might have been Smithy actually. It might have been Smithy that won it in season 2, and then Motoring Morgan season 3. No, I'm getting it mixed up. No, I'm sure I'm getting it mixed up. I think I'm getting confused. But yeah, I'll have to look at the Roll of Honour to see. If anyone is interested in knowing, obviously, you can look at the Roll of Honour, which is at the top of the Discord server, and that'll give you all the answers that you need. But nonetheless, we've got Emma in the comments here saying, have a great final round of the season. Good luck to Ozzy, John Boy and Doris. Thanks for everything this season, Andy. Thank you, Emma. Always good to see you in the chat. And yeah, big ups to Ozzy, obviously, other half of Emma, or Emma's the other half of Ozzy. Well, I suppose it works both ways. But Ozzy currently sat in 7th at the moment in this practice session here, and regular amongst all of our leagues. Used to race 3 nights a week with us back when we used to have 3 race nights here on Project Cars 2. But it's been with us since we restarted the leagues here at Motive about a year or so, or just under a year ago. We brought the Project Cars 2 leagues back, and Ozzy, a regular shower here in this league, and obviously Emma always supports us and always chimes in, always drops her support, not just for Ozzy but also for the other drivers as well. Obviously John Boy and Doris, as you can see, being amongst her favourites. But John Boy Currently setting the fastest time here in this practice session by quite some way. Oh, it's Mike just go quicker there. Gets into the 101.7. So he hasn't just sneaked into the 101s there. Mike has got well into the 101s with a bit of slipstream now for Doris Steer as well to help him out. But he's done an absolute scorcher there as Mike, and I'm sure he'll be pretty chuffed with that. So Mike there really laying down a marker, but obviously with the slipstream being a bigger factor in that one, it's not really going to mean a whole lot. But John Boy's pulling off to the side. It looks like he's now done for this practice session. Ollie's coming over. He's running in clean air, so he's not got any slipstream, which is not really going to help his cause. He's not going to improve without some slipstream, or he's certainly not going to improve on the fastest time being set by Mike. And he's probably not going to get near John Boy either, to be honest. But Nick the Villa coming up towards the line. He's got a bit of slipstream here off the back of Smokey. What can he do as he's coming over now? Looks like he's P6 at the moment in this session, and he stays in P6, so he doesn't move up the order in any way. Park Pippa running all by himself here isn't going to go too quickly, I wouldn't have thought, at this point. So he stays in P9 at the moment. Big warm welcome to Raids Fader, rejoining the league, or rejoining the track here tonight at Motive. Obviously, has raced with us before. He's racing as a reserve here tonight, so good to see him out on the track. We've got Revolt Detailer, who's also chiming in here as a late standing reserve here tonight. So we've got 2 reserves out on track here to go with the 10 regulars that are with us, and we're missing Cobb, who's a regular from tonight, and also Iceman as well, not here. So we're missing a couple of regulars, but we've got a couple of reserves in as well. We've got also one of our regular reserves, RJ Dale, not with us tonight either, but he wasn't expected to be here. He's just been jumping in as and when he's able to. So yeah, it's but nonetheless, you know, we've got plenty of drivers here, 12 drivers out on the track. I think that's plenty enough to have some exciting racing here tonight at Silverstone. We've got John Boy, the man who's currently sat second in this practice session at the moment. He's just coming up towards the line. What can he do here? He stays in P2 at the moment. I actually have done the championship standings based on the drop rounds, and I did them earlier on the Discord server. I put them in the Clio Cup info. So with drop rounds coming into effect, obviously the championship looks like this. It's Mike who leads the way on 518 points. He's 2 points ahead of Ollie, who's in second on 516 points. Those two, the main championship contenders. John Boy with a bit of an outside shot, sat in third on 494 points, 24 points behind the championship leader Mike. And then Smokey sits in 4th place on 356 points. Best of the rest this season, Smokey. The battle for best of the rest is going to be quite exciting, actually, because you've got Smokey, who's obviously 4th. He's actually tied with Charlie Goff as well. So Charlie 5th, also on 356 points. Cobb is in 6th, but he's not here tonight. He's on 352 points. He might drop a few more places down the order here in this season's final standings as well. But you've got Park Pooper, who's in 7th place in the championship. He's on 348 points. He's only 8 points behind Smokey and Charlie. So this could be a really exciting battle here. Oh, what has gone on here? Down the start-finish straight, there's been an aircraft crash there coming over the line. I don't quite know what's going on there, but Park Pooper is missing his front bumper there. So that's really a bit of a cork there for him. But Nick the Villa sits in 8th nonetheless in the standings on 322 points. He's not a million miles behind the battle for 4th in the championship, but I think he might be a little bit too far behind to pose a realistic threat to those guys. You've got Jay in 10th in the standings on 268 points, ahead of Doris Steer, who's in 11th on 208 points, and Big Blue rounding out the standings there in 12th on 206. Obviously the rest of them have been sporadic reserves, and the rest of the drivers here haven't turned up to more than half of the races. So in terms of those who have turned up to more than half of the season, those are the 12 drivers who are technically I consider eligible to be read out here. But nonetheless, it's Mike taking the fastest time in the practice session ahead of John Boy, with Ollie and Doris, your 4 fastest drivers here before this first race of the night. And obviously I've read out the championship standings there coming into this one. So there's 3 drivers in with a realistic prospect of taking this season's championship. John Boy, the one who's probably the outsider, but between Mike and Ollie, it really is a coin toss at this point. I reckon it could be either of these two walking away with it. As long as they both keep out of trouble, they should be far enough ahead of John Boy to be able to battle it out amongst each other. But saying that, anything can happen in the final 3 races of the season, especially around a track like Silverstone National, where you're never very far away from a simply monumental accident. And you know, that's no slight on these drivers, because everybody here is a very clean racer. The standard of driving that we see here on Project Cars 2 amongst the motive racing community really is absolutely superb. It's top-notch stuff. In the 4 seasons since we regathered the leagues, we've had a really strong, decent community, wholesome community full of people who actually all get on quite well, and generally we haven't had any issues. If people are an issue, they tend not to last very long here, which is actually testament to the strength of our community, I think. But generally it's yeah, it's been very good racing from everybody, and yeah, but the thing is, obviously it's the nature of this circuit. I mean, Silverstone National, it's very compact, it's tight, there's a lot of straights, and also it promotes a lot of pack racing because it's very easy to keep up in the slipstream. Even if you're not as quick as the driver in front, if you keep in that slipstream, then you're not going to fall behind unless you make a mistake. So it kind of encourages a lot of concertina, and that can unfortunately lead to a few incidents, but it also leads to a lot of very close racing, which is what we want to see. We obviously don't want to see incidents, but we do want to see close racing, and we do want to see unpredictability. We want to see a close battle go all the way to the checkered flag. But nonetheless, we're about to go racing here for the formation lap. This is obviously the final round of the Clio Cup here for season 14. This is the first race of 3 here at Silverstone National tonight, as we're now just pulling up off of the line and getting going here for this formation lap. And John Boy there just trying to get his tyres warmed up. He will, I'm sure, be slowing down in a moment to let everybody back through and drop down to what I think should be about a P8 on the grid, P8, P9, something like that. Can't remember exactly. Obviously I read the order out to the guys in the game chat beforehand, but haven't memorised it obviously because there are 12 different people to memorise, but they all know where they're starting because I read it out beforehand, and so that's pretty much all sorted there. As Revolt Detail has not moved off the line, so what has happened here to Leo? Leo is still parked up on the grid and has not moved, has not turned a wheel here. So is he going to get going before we get round? If not, he'll have to retire the car and get himself out of the way, because he could prove to be a potential hazard here, being sat right in the middle of the track. So that could maybe be a bit of a problem here. Is his wheel plugged in? I'm not quite sure what's going on here with Revolt Detailer, but he needs to get himself out of the way before they come around. I think they're doing quite a slow formation here to give him time to get himself sorted out. But already a bit of a dramatic start to the night as he's still not moved. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here, guys, but hopefully this gets sorted out before they come round, because otherwise it could prove to be a bit of an obstruction here. But nonetheless, we're coming around Luffield and we're about to start the race here. For the opening race of the night, it's Big Blue who will get us underway with Doris Steer and Nick the Villa. Revolt Detail is still sat there, and this is really not ideal at all. Revolt's pedals have disconnected, says Emma. That's not much good for us right now, is it? Because the leaders are coming round. We're hearing he's got moving again. He has now got moving, so I think we're going to do an additional formation lap here. Yeah, I think we're going to give it one more run. Ideally, Big Blue, I'd say if you're listening, mate, slow it down to about 50, because your average speed around here is going to be probably not much more than 100 miles an hour, if it even is that. So I would say slow it down to about 50, give him time to catch up, because if you're doing 50, he's got to do, well, technically he's got to do a lap. So yeah, you do about 50 miles an hour, he should be able to catch up before we get round to the end of the lap. But Revolt Detailer here, obviously he's got to catch up. He's driving around into Brooklands now. He is actually the pole sitter, so Revolt Detailer will, as long as he catches up to the pack, that's his first task. And oh no, he's bailed. He's bailed out. He's bailed out. Why is he bailed out? Why is he bailed out? I think they were going to wait for him, but he's bailed. Oh, he's got disqualified for cutting. Oh, he's got disqualified for cutting the last part of the track. That would explain it. Right, okay then. So it looks like we're going to do we've obviously done an additional formation lap here, and we're about to go racing here for the first race of the night here for the Clio Cup, the finale of season 14, race 1 of 3 for this evening. As here we come out of Luffield now. Big Blue will get us underway, and it looks like we're foot to the floor, so we should be coming over the line here to start the final race, or rather the final round of the season. And as I said, race 1 of 3 for the night. As over the line we come, we can see we've got Nick the Villa attacking on the back of Doris Steer, coming down towards Cops. You've got Park there ahead of Aussie, followed by Charlie Smokey, John Boy there ahead of Mike, and then Ollie and Raids Fader at the back of the pack in 11th place. As we come down towards Maggis and Beckett's here for the first time, and we've got Nick now trying to attack on the back of Park here, coming up towards Maggis and Beckett's, but he's not far enough alongside him at the moment, and tucks in for the time being as Revolt Detailer seems to have left the session here. Hopefully he can get himself back in for races 2 and 3, because I know Leo's got pace around this Silverstone National circuit. We've seen obviously in the touring cars earlier this season, almost got a win around this track. So you know, Leo, if you're listening, mate, make sure you get back in for the next 2 races, because I reckon you can have a good shout at this one. But nonetheless, we got some moves going on in the background here. Smokey's down the inside there of Aussie. Aussie got a bit wide there as they went through Brooklands, and into left field we go. He's around the outside there. Aussie getting doxed in a little bit here. He's got his teammate John Boy trying around the outside of him, coming out on the exit of left field here. As John Boy there onto the curve with a bit of contact there between Aussie and John Boy, but John Boy should be alright to swoop around the outside of Woodcote here and be able to get down the start finish straight. No, Aussie's squeezing into the edge of the track here, and that's giving Mike a bit of a run. Mike now looking down the inside of Aussie, but did he get enough of a run? No, he didn't. He had to back out of it. Aussie here on the inside of John Boy still, so Aussie keeping ahead of John Boy, but Mike and Ollie still tucking in behind him for the time being. In fact, John Boy's got a bit of a run coming out of Cop's corner and has got ahead of Aussie coming down towards Maggots and Beckett. So John Boy there upper position, but Mike there looking to the inside of Aussie there coming into Maggots. Can he get it done? No, he's not going to be able to. John Boy is getting boxed in here behind Smokey as he's got Charlie on his right hand side as well. But John Boy here moving through up into 6th place here in this race, so he's making some pretty serious progress so far as John Boy. But Ollie and Mike here in 9th and 10th places right now as they come into Brooklands, and Mike's looking down the inside of Ollie here, but he's going to have to think better of that one, because Ollie's going to have the inside for Luffield, but Aussie there's lost out to both Ollie and Mike, and Aussie Albie down to P10 there. So Aussie Albie not getting a great lap that last time around, losing quite a few places here as we've got Charlie and Smokey here just rubbing doors a little bit there as they come through Woodcote. Out onto the start finish straight we come. You can see Smokey on the outside just keeping ahead of Charlie for the time being. Charlie will have a look into Cops though. I'd have thought that Charlie would be thinking about making this move here. No, he's not really alongside him actually. He's had to tuck in there, and and Mike there, big slide there coming on the exit of Cop's corner. Wow, he did well to hold on to that, but that would have just lost him a bit of time there, lost him a bit of momentum as they came out down towards Maggots and Beckett's, and he's now got Aussie looking to try and make a move on him. Oh, and there's contact there between Aussie and Mike, and Aussie there comes off worse in that one. Aussie just got it a little bit wrong there onto the grass, went into the side of Mike. Mike seems to have got away with it though. But that was must have been squeaky bum time there for Mike, as we've got John Boy down the inside of Nick the Villa for 3rd place in this race. What an opening couple of laps it has been from John Boy. He's gone from 9th place on the grid up into 3rd, into the podium places here, and John Boy will be absolutely rubbing his hands together at that one. Ollie trying to attack on the back of Smokey, but Mike there in trouble in the early laps of this race, obviously with that contact there with Aussie Albie. I think he's got away without any damage, so he should be okay, but it's just not an ideal situation for Mike whatsoever. A long way to go in his first race of the night, and obviously if he keeps his head together he should still be able to get in the top 5, but that's just one little thing that he didn't really need to happen here in the early stage of this race. We've got Doris still on the back of Ollie as we come out of Cops. He gets it a bit wrong there to Doris, and he's going to lose out to Charlie and Mike. So Doris steered down to 9th place there after just having to make a bit of a correction there coming through Cops corner. But quite a dramatic start to this first race of the night here, the final race of the season here at Motive for the Clio Cup, and it's Big Blue still leading this first race of the night. He's got just under a second at the moment over Park Pooper X, but John Boy is now in 3rd place and is now ready to hunt these guys down and try and get himself a P1 and give himself the best possible opportunity to overhaul Mike and Ollie in this championship. Ollie trying to hassle the back of Smokey. He's a couple of places ahead of Mike, who's trying to attack on the back of Charlie Goff at the moment as well. So Ollie and Mike both stuck in traffic here. John Boy up into 3rd place. He's now looking on the back of Park Pooper, and he's going to get the run here coming through Woodcote as well. So John Boy here moving himself through into another position here. John Boy making light work of the drivers in front of him right now. Up into P2, tucks it in to that position there. Park Pooper's got no answer for him, and John Boy there making up another place. What a great first couple of laps it's been here from John Boy so far in this race. Got to quickly take this one. I'll be 1 minute, guys. Hey Ryan, is everything alright?
Yeah, I've got a good Virgil somewhere.
So guys, right, we're back on. Sorry about that, just had to quickly take a call. But yeah, we've got Big Blue still leading the race here, down towards Magus and Beckett's. John Boyd has pulled up onto the back of him here, 2 tenths between them as they're coming through. Beckett's here for the 8th time in this race. But what a start it's been to the race from John Boyd. I tell you what, nothing's been holding him back here. But Ollie's now on the back of Part Hooper. Mike's also on the back of Part Hooper here as well. So Ollie and Mike have also made quite seamless progress, but not as good as John Boyd. John Boyd to the outside here of Big Blue. Into Brooklands we go, round the outside, and he's going to make that one stick as well. Is John Boyd. Has he taken too much into Brooklands? He has to go tight here for Luffield, onto the grass a little bit, but he gets it turned in, and he's going to get a decent enough exit, I think, coming out of Luffield. And John Boyd here leads the race here in the first race of the night, so he's gone and chased after the race leader, Big Blue. Big Blue's going to be wondering where John Boyd's come from here in the early stage of this race. It is John Boyd who hits the front here at Silverstone, and Big Blue here throwing a little fake to the inside, trying to put John Boyd off. I don't think John Boyd's going to be too phased by that one. And John Boyd here somehow is leading the race here after just 8 laps of this race. Obviously came from P9 on the grid, knows he's got to outscore both Ollie and Mike here in this one, and is currently doing everything right, doing absolutely everything in his power to try and make it happen at the moment. As Ollie here trying to get a run on Park Pooper coming out of Chapel, and he's going to get that move done, I think, is Ollie. So he'll move himself through up into 3rd place here, and Mike's now looking to try and get the move done on him as well. As we come down towards Brooklands, you can see Ollie trying to squeeze Mike. Mike's got to run here to the inside, and he's going to make the move down the inside of Ollie. Ollie's going to surely try and telegraph this one, but he's not going to be able to do anything about it. It goes wide there coming through Brooklands as well, and loses the place here to his championship rival. So Mike there moving himself through ahead of Ollie. Obviously Ollie comes into this with a 2-point deficit to Mike, so he needs to be finishing in front of him. That's the last thing he needed, to be seeing that number 31 white Clio sliding through Brooklands in front of him here. So Ollie's going to be frustrated with that one, and he needs to get himself back in the game here. He's got Charlie and Part Pooper and Smokey as well, as Nick right on the back of him here. So Ollie needs to just get his head back in this one. But Big Blue there very wide coming out of Cops Corner, and you can see there's the train of cars here, the charging pack here of Mike, Ollie, Charlie, Part Pooper, Smokey and Nick. And we're going to be coming up on him in a few moments time, so this could very quickly become a 7-car battle here for 2nd place, as Nick here down the inside of Smokey on coming out of Chapel Curve, as these two are side by side down the Wellington Straight. Nick trying to squeeze Smokey there, but Smokey will have the inside coming in towards Brooklands and might be able to return the favour here as they come onto the brakes. He's looking down the inside here is Smokey Devil. Nick though is going to close the door on him, and it's going to get that one done. It goes a bit deep though into Brooklands, and Smokey's going to try and get a cutback. Is he into Luffield? No, that's not going to happen there, and he'll have to wait for that opportunity a little bit longer here. But currently John Boyd still leading the race ahead of Big Blue. Mike there in 3rd place ahead of Ollie, and it's currently battles a lot, but battles every way you look at this point. It's great battles here in the early stages of this, well, of the night. Obviously we're halfway through this race already here, but championship picture looking quite good for Mike and Ollie at the moment, running in 3rd and 4th places. John Boyd doing what he needs to do. Tell you what, it's definitely advantage Mike here, obviously, because he leads the championship by 2 points coming into tonight's final round of the season. Big Blue there, a bit of a slide coming through into Chapel Curve. Is that going to give Ollie a bit of a run coming down Wellington Straight in towards Brooklands? I think Ollie might have a chance here, as John Boyd there is trying to break the toe. He knows that Mike's now in 2nd place. He can see that his championship leader is the next driver behind him now, as Big Blue trying to defend here from Ollie into Brooklands. Is he going to go a bit deep? He does go a little bit deep through Brooklands, but Ollie goes deep as well, and now Big Blue very, very deep into Luffield, and that will give Ollie the move. Ollie there up into 3rd place, did not need a second invitation there, and Ollie now into the podium places, can now try and chase down Mike in 2nd place. But Big Blue's not done here. You can see he's back in the slipstream of Ollie. Ollie's going to have to defend this one, I think, coming into Cops, because if he doesn't, he'll find himself open here, because Big Blue is down the inside, and he might be able to make this move here into Cops Corner, and this is going to be frustrating for Ollie, but Ollie did manage to get a decent enough run down the start-finish straight and covers Big Blue off for the time being. Big Blue a little bit wide there on the exit of Cops Corner, but that looks like it is now job done for Ollie Marr, so he can now try his best to reel in John Boyd and Mike and hope that these two battle, because that'll bring him into the picture more and more. But Nick here on the back of Charlie, you can see Part Pooper and Doris. No, sorry, just Part Pooper actually, because Doris has dropped off at him. In fact, so is Smokey. In fact, so what's gone on here? Because Smokey was with that pack a moment ago, so Smokey's dropped it somewhere and has now fallen well off everybody else, and that is a massive shame there for him. But Charlie has got ahead of Big Blue up into 4th place here through Brooklands and into Luffield we go. Charlie off up into upper position there. decent move there, I think, there from him. It looked like a pretty good one from, we caught the tail end of it. But John Boy leading the race, but Mike has made light work of closing up onto the back of John Boy here. You can see now 0.6 of a second separating these two. It was over a second a couple of laps ago, so Mike there half a second quicker than John Boy on that previous lap. He's siding that gap down and he's now in contention for a race win here in his first race of the night. And Ollie really needs to get his skates on here if he wants to bring himself into this fight and keep his championship hopes alive here. It's John Boy leading as they come through Magus, Beckett and Chapel here for the 13th time in this race. Mike is hassling the back of him and John Boy just needs to keep it cool and keep Mike behind him, do everything he possibly can to hold him at bay. If these two battle, it might give Ollie a lifeline here, but Ollie's got currently a train of cars in the shape of Charlie, Big Blue and Nick all over him, Part Pooper as well. So Ollie's got that to be worrying about at this point, and maybe can't really focus on what's ahead of him at this point. Big Blue here trying to defend from Nick de Villa as they're going through Brooklands and manages to do so quite nicely there. But Ollie here is not in a position to challenge much because he's currently got a load of people putting the pressure from behind him. It's John Boy and Mike still leading the race as we're coming over the line here to start lap 14. 6 laps left to go here in this first race of the night, and John Boy there not really responding to the pace of Mike. He's still in the 102.7s. Mike there another 0.3 quicker, but nowhere to go. Can't exactly go through him, can he? So he's got to sit in behind and wait for an opportunity here. Maybe make a slipstream manoeuvre if he possibly can. As Nick's there ahead of Part Hooper up into 6th place. Big Blue trying to come back at Ollie and Charlie. Oh, and there's somebody off in the background there. As there's, oh my god, what's going on? Big Blue there getting, Nick getting out of shape. Big Blue, I think, and it was Charlie, was it? I think it was Charlie who made the mistake there coming through Chapel Curve. Ollie seems to have been caught up a little bit in that as well, which is going to affect his chances to close in on the other two. But Big Blue down the inside of Part Pooper into Brooklands and moves himself through up into 4th place there. So a bit of chaos there as we came through into Beckett's and Chapel. Looked like there was just a bit of a domino effect there. But we all seem to be okay at this point. John Boy and Mike still out in front, and Mike is getting closer to the back of John Boy more and more as they come over the line, but he's still not close enough. Lapping in the mid 102s at this point. John Boy the high 102s. Mike's definitely got the advantage at this stage, but can he find a way through? Or is John Boy just going to park the bus and make sure that Mike cannot find a way through, or do anything in his power to take this first race of the night? Obviously Mike is 24 points ahead of John Boy in this championship. John Boy with a very long shot of being able to win this title, but he's certainly not going to have any chance if he doesn't win this race, or at least finish ahead of Mike. But with Mike all over the back of him here, this could be a matter of time. They're side by side here down the Wellington Straight. Mike, our 3-time champion of the Clio Cup, trying to make a move for the lead here. John Boy squeezing him to the edge of the track. John Boy gives him the space there. Mike goes deep into Brooklands. Has John Boy telegraphed this to perfection? No, he hasn't, because Mike's got the move done here into Luffield. So Mike there, bravery on the inside of the corner, knew he had the grip on the inside to go for it, and Mike leads the race here on lap 15. So Mike pulling off a great move there down the inside of Brooklands. Knew he had the confidence in the car to get it turned in at that tight angle. Obviously you need to get that thing turned in on sixpence here. The Clio Cup car is obviously front wheel drive, so you can do it, but you need to have confidence that you can control the oversteer when you get to the corner end, when you get to the apex, and he absolutely did that brilliantly there, did Mike. But Big Blue there into 4th place ahead of Part Pooper. It goes very wide there coming out of Cop's corner, and Part Pooper's going to get him back on the exit there, back up into 4th place. You can see Charlie's got ahead of Big Blue as well, and so is Nick. So Big Blue losing out 3 places there in that little exchange. But Mike leading ahead of John Boy. John Boy's going to try and come back at him though over the next few laps and take this win back off of him here as they're down the Wellington Straight here for the 16th time in the race. We've got 3 and a bit laps left to go here in the first race of the night, as now Mike's defending the inside here coming into Brooklands. John Boy's not going to be tempted to go for that one. He knows he's too far back, and Mike's defending the inside line anyway at this point. Into Luffield we go. John Boy's just going to be waiting for his opportunity here. He's going to be sat there. He's not going to be too urgent yet because he knows he's got 3 laps to do it, but he also knows that he needs to finish ahead of Mike, and he needs to be outscoring him if he is to keep his championship hopes alive here. As we come over the line, we're starting lap 17 of this first race of the night. 3 to go here for this evening opener. You've got Ollie there running in 3rd place right now. Is he seeing his championship starting to slip away with Mike outscoring him? Obviously the gap will be 6 points as things stand. If John Boy can get ahead of Mike, it will be 4 points between Mike and Ollie. Oh, what's going on in the background? That's Big Blue there, ever so wide. He's really struggling through Cop's corner tonight as Big Blue, and he's now losing time to the podium battlers here. Ollie's actually gapped these guys. Part Pooper, Charlie and Nick are going to fight it out over 4th place by the looks of it. Big Blue seems to have fallen out of that argument there. and seems to be well out of the picture right now. But Mike and John Boy coming into Brooklands here once again, and Mike's managed to gap John Boy a little bit over the last couple of laps. You can see there's Charlie now looking down the inside of Park Pooper. Nick Villa right behind them. Charlie here's going to get this move done surely into Brooklands. No, Park Pooper's keeping it around the outside, inside there for Luffield, there for Park Pooper, gets onto the grass a little bit, and Charlie there banging doors with Park Pooper as Nick's trying to get the cut back here out of Luffield. Charlie there holding it around the outside, but doesn't really get enough for a run there. Nick Villa with the slipstream there off of Park Pooper is going to get the run here coming down the pit straight as we're coming over the line here. Penultimate lap of the race, they're just about to start. And Park Pooper's now got Nick down his inside here into Cop's corner. Can Nick keep the momentum there on the inside? Park Pooper holds it around the outside, and more contact there. Wow, look at that. Be careful, guys, be careful. And here comes Charlie now to the outside. It's going to mug both of them here, I think. Into Beckett's we go. Charlie down the inside of Nick, just threads the needle there. Nick actually keeps it around the outside brilliantly there. As we've got to go back to the leaders here, because John Boy's all over the back of Mike coming into Brooklands. All goes for a cut back there, and Mike there says no, don't even think about it. John Boy, huge slide there going through Brooklands. Mike also with a bit of a slide, but I think John Boy was going for a late move, wanted to duck back to the inside, but the gap wasn't there. He was actually alongside Mike. I don't think he realised that he was still alongside, and obviously it didn't pay off for him, and almost a catastrophic incident there between those two, which would have been music to Ollie Mars' ears and eyes when he got onto the scene. But Mike and John Boy coming to the line here to start the final lap of the race with 0.2 of a second apart between them. As into Cop's corner we come, and this is going to be John Boy. John Boy knows now he's got one more opportunity realistically down the Wellington Straight to get this one done. He needs to get a good exit here out of Chapel Curve. Mike knows exactly what he needs to do to keep John Boy behind him. Who's going to get this better exit here out of Chapel? Who's got better onto the power here? Who's got more confidence? It looks as though they're pretty even here. John Boy with the slipstream, but I don't think he's going to be close enough into Brooklands. Mike here has done a good enough job, has kept his composure reasonably well here. In towards Brooklands we come for the final time in race one. John Boy throwing a feint to the inside, but he's way too far back. That's never going to work. And here we come. Through Luffield we go. Mike is going to get the win here in the first race of the night. It's going to extend his gap in the championship to 6 points overall. That's before fastest laps, which we're not quite sure who's managed to pick that one up. But Mike here up towards the line here at Silverstone for the first race of the night, and he's going to take a step closer here to his 4th Clio Cup crown. Mike comes over to take race 1 here with John Boy over in 2nd place. Ollie's going to take P3 here in this evening opener. But he's going to trail Mike in the championship now by a bit more than he was before, to say the least. Nick there over in 4th ahead of Charlie, followed by Park Pooper. Big Blue takes P7 in the end. Raids Fader and Smokey and Doris as well have had a good battle here actually by the looks of it. But we missed that because we were so focused on what was going on at the front. But Raids comes over in 8th ahead of Smokey in 9th. And Doris there taking P10. Aussie a lap down there in 11th place. And obviously we lost the Revolt Detailer before the end of the race. But Mike there taking the race win ahead of John Boy in 2nd, with Ollie completing the podium. But fastest lap of the race goes to Mike. So Mike there getting the 2 bonus points, and it means that the gap in the championship with drop rounds coming into play is now 8 points. But saying that, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen over the course of tonight. If somebody scores the drop round tonight, that could open up a new can of worms. But saying that, if they score the drop round tonight, then they're probably not going to still be in contention. So it kind of works both ways. But nonetheless, we're going to be a couple of minutes, guys, until we get going for the qualifying session for the second race of the night. The only qualifying session of the evening, obviously, the race 1 and 2, or race 1 and 3, sorry, are both reverse grids. But yeah, qualifying for the second race coming up very shortly, guys. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back, guys. We're here for the second race of the night. We're here for the qualifying session to precede the second race of the night here at Silverstone National for the Clio Cup. Just double checking the championship standings, which I've worked out after drop rounds here. The updated championship standings just for the top three, because I haven't got time to work it out just yet for everybody else. But currently it's now Mike who leads the championship by 8 points. He's got 552 points with the drop rounds. He leads Ollie, who's second, on 544 points by 8 points. John Boy is third in the championship. He's now 28 points behind Mike on 524 points. But I would say, I mean, if John Boy fails to finish third or higher in this second race, he's mathematically out of the championship regardless. But I think realistically now we can probably say it's between Mike and Ollie for this Clio Cup season 14. It could be between either of them really. Mike, obviously our three-time champion of the Clio Cup, has won the last 3 seasons. Ollie has a chance of potentially preventing him from taking 4 in a row here, but honestly, I would not bet against this man. I'd say Mike has got a very, very high chance of doing it once again. It'd be great to see him obviously getting the success which he deserves. He's been so dominant over the course of the last few seasons, but this season we've seen Ollie really take the fight to him, and John Boy, to be fair, has stepped it up as well, especially with the drop rounds coming into a play. It's given John Boy a bit more of a lifeline, but Mike again has proved to just be a little bit too good for John Boy so far this season anyway. But what can John Boy pull out of the hat here in the final 2 races of this season? We never know what might happen. Mike could end up in a pile-up. Obviously, God forbid, because I don't want to see a championship decided like that. But we don't know what's going to happen over the next 2 races. Anything can happen. It really could. So let's not get. I shouldn't be getting ahead of myself just yet. But yeah, it's hard for me to bet against this man. Just knowing what he's like in championship deciders. I don't think he's ever lost a championship decider before. I think whenever it's him against someone else for the title, I think he's always prevailed here at Motive. At least in my memory, I can't think of a time that he's gone into a championship finale and failed to win. But it's a first time for everything, and obviously we all have the potential to crack under pressure, albeit some of us are better at dealing with the pressure than others. But Mike nonetheless coming over the line here. He's the fastest here in this qualifying session. He's on provisional pole as things stand, and it looks like it's going to be another pole here for Mike. So he'll be starting on in P1 ahead of John Boy, who will line up alongside him on the front row with Nick Villa in third. Mike's closest championship challenger, Ollie, will be lining up on the second row just behind Mike and John Boy, with Charlie Goff in fifth ahead of Big Blue, followed by Revolt Detailer in seventh ahead of Aussie Albie. Then we've got Raids Fader in ninth, followed by Thoris Steer, Smoky Devil in 11th, and Part Pooper Rex will be rounding out the grid there in 12th place here for this final round of the season. But guys, we're just moments away here from the start of this second race of the night here at Motive for the Clio Cup. If you're enjoying what you're watching, please do smash the like button and subscribe to the channel as well. Also, if you want to get involved, then be sure to go to www.motiveracing.com. We've got leaks on Project Cars too, as you can see, but also on ACC on the PS5 version, as well as F1. And F1, I believe, will be cross-play between cross-platforms on PlayStation for the 4 and the 5 for at least one more season. So we will be supporting PlayStation 4 users for F1 for the next year or so, at the very least. But yeah, if you fancy getting involved, then be sure to go to www.motiveracing.com. We're exclusive to the PlayStation. We don't run on PC, so if you're on the PlayStation, we can cater to your every need. We're fully focused on the PlayStation platform, as that's where I enjoy racing on the PlayStation. I think obviously community is a much more prevalent feature than on PC, at least in my experience, and that's really why I just prefer console sim racing in general. But guys, this is going to be the only standing starter tonight, so there's going to be no formation lap. Obviously the first and the third races are reverse grids. We use a formation lap to get ourselves in order. For this one, no such issues or no such dramas. It's just literally get on with the race. Let's go, let's get into it. So here we go then. Lights are about to come on now. We're just syncing up here at the head of the grid. It's Mike and John Boy on the front row. Their championship contender Ollie in fourth just behind them, with Nick alongside him, and it looks like we're lights out and away we go here for the second race of the night. Who's got the best start? It's difficult to see from this angle. I think Mike's got a good one here as they come into Cop's corner, and Mike's going to lead us through, and Charlie Goff's got around the outside of Nick and John Boy. John Boy with a terrible start there, down to P4, but he seems to have got a good run out of Cops. Oh, and there's contact there between Nick and Charlie, and they're both into the wall there on the exit of Cop's corner, and it's got a nightmare. Oh no, and there's a big crash there in the background. Big Blue getting caught up in that with Raids Fader and Revolt Detailer, so that's a separate issue there from Charlie and Nick coming together, but they seem to have got through unscathed in comparison to the rest of them. Raids, Part Pooper and Revolt Detailer, and a crash coming out of Cop's corner. But in the meantime, we've got Mike leading ahead of John Boy, followed by Ollie in third place, who's got himself up one position after starting in fourth place. He's got himself on the rear of his championship contenders. It's Mike, John Boy and Ollie, the top three in this season's standings so far, as John Boy, they're very deep going through Brooklands into Luffield. He needs to be getting a move on. He's going to be desperate, I'm sure, to hold on to the coattails of Mike in the first few laps of this race. It's going to be crucial that he holds on to that slipstream, otherwise he will not have a chance of taking some points off him and extending his championship hopes to the final race of this season, which is coming up after this. But over the line to complete lap one, it's Mike from John Boy from Ollie in third, followed by Aussie Albie. Then you've got Nick the Vidder ahead of Smokey, followed by Charlie Thoris. Big Blue in ninth ahead of Raids Fader, and then you've got Part Pooper and Revolt Detailer rounding out the pack there in 12th place. But Mike doing what he needed to do there, getting a great start off of the line, leading into turn one, had a big gap as well as they came through the first corner, and currently John Boy is trying his best here to keep onto the tail of him, but for the time being Mike is really putting the other two under pressure here. John Boy and Ollie know they're going to have to get their finger out here over the course of these next two races. Ollie there's got a cone stuck under his car as well, which is not going to be ideal for him. Hopefully he can get that shaken off as soon as possible. There it goes into Brooklands, but Aussie's got Nick the Vidder all over the back of him into Brooklands. You can see Smokey ahead of Charlie, followed by Thoris Steer. There's Big Blue ahead of Part Pooper, followed by Raids Fader and Revolt Detailer running at the back there in 12th place. But coming out of Luffield here for the second time at Racing Speeds in this second race, and Ollie seems to have already been dropping off at the back of Mike and John Boy a little bit here, which is not going to be ideal for him at all. He needs to get his head down here and really chase these guys down, because otherwise he will be losing this championship. He can see Mike driving off into the distance. Maybe there's nothing he can do about it at this point. But Mike definitely looking to be in contention or in with a very, very good chance of taking his 4th Clio Cup crown. Can John Boy do anything here to try and force the issue on Mike? Maybe force him into a mistake, possibly. What sort of tactics are we going to be seeing? I'm sure that John Boy's going to be playing it fair no matter what, but maybe he can just throw a few little tricks here to try and put Mike off and maybe force him into a mistake here. But coming out down the Wellington Straight here for the 3rd time in the race, you can see Mike trying to break the toe here. John Boy weaving around, doing a good job of keeping himself in contention at the moment. Into Brooklands we go. Looking down the inside, he's too far back at the moment, but for the time being these two are gapping everybody else. They're gapping Ollie a little bit. Ollie's gapping the pack behind him, but he can't seem to keep up with the top 2 at the moment as Nick there down the inside of Aussie into Luffield, but he's too far back and he's going to have to wait for his opportunity here. And Aussie still holding on to that 4th place for now. Smokey there ahead of Charlie. These two battling out over 6th and 7th places. You've got Doris there. There's Big Blue who goes a little bit wide there coming out of Luffield. Park Pooper here is going to look to the inside here coming through Woodcote as these two are side by side here coming over the line here to complete lap 3 of the race. And Park Pooper there just squeezing ahead as they're coming down towards Cops Corner. Is he going to be able to have to run here in towards the turn 1? I think he is. Park Pooper there is going to get it done. No, actually Big Blue keeping it around the outside there. So great momentum there from Big Blue and actually holding on to 9th place. So good little move there from Big Blue, I've got to say. I wasn't expecting that one, but Ollie, Mike here and John Boy currently leading the race by half a second between them, should I say. They're leading Ollie by just over 2 seconds at this point. John Boy still hassling the back of Mike here as they're coming down towards Brooklands, but still can't find a way to really put him under any pressure at this point. As we've got Charlie here trying to attack on the back of Nick and Smokey coming through Brooklands. Nick here, Smokey there almost tapping the back of Nick, and he's the meat in the sandwich there. He had nowhere to go. Charlie was pushing him from the back. He couldn't exactly go through Nick, though, could he? But Smokey there for the time being staying ahead of Charlie as they're coming through Woodcote. Now Nick is trying to get close to the back of Aussie here, coming here out of Woodcote over the line to complete lap 4 of the race. But Aussie there at the moment is looking reasonably comfortable there in that position as you see them all fighting through your shot there going through Cops Corner. Big Blue there in the background has just got Park Pooper and Raids Fader trying to hassle him. Revolt Detail there in P12 after that collision coming through turn 1 on lap 1. Dropping off the back of him a little bit and he's disconnected, so Revolt Detailer I think may have thrown in the towel here tonight. Obviously racing as a reserve, and I think that he's done by the looks of it. He's had enough. But it's Mike and John Boy here still out in front coming into Brooklands. They are gapping Ollie. Ollie just does not have seems to have the pace tonight in this 2nd race of the night, and Smokey's disconnected. What's going on there? Well, I think that was a genuine disconnection there because he wasn't in a terrible position. Well, actually was in P11. So it might have been a rage quit there, I don't know. But Smokey quite abruptly there exiting the session. But we're coming out of the Luffield here, and we're seeing Ollie here just ahead of Nick Lavilla, as we can see Aussie and Charlie here running quite close as well. So this is a 3-way battle here for 4th place right now. Nick now trying to defend here from Aussie. Aussie looking to the outside here into Cops Corner. What's going to happen here? Aussie goes a little bit deep. That might allow Charlie to poke a nose up the inside coming out of Cops Corner, and he does get the move done there on Aussie. So Charlie there moved himself through up into 5th place. And in the meantime, we can see Big Blue's made a move here on Park Pooper. So Big Blue's got himself up into 7th place there on the exit of Cops Corner. You can see there Park Pooper and Raids still sat right behind them with Doris Steer as well. Park Pooper there is going to get the run here on Big Blue coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's, and has got himself back ahead of him. These two are side by side. Bit of a slide there from Park Pooper as Big Blue's now coming under pressure from Raids and Doris. Doris there mugging both of them round the outside of Chapel Curve, and Doris Steer moving himself through up into 8th place. He's had a quiet night so far tonight as Doris Steer, but he'll be pretty chuffed with that one, and he'll be delighted to know we got that one live on the stream as Doris Steer there gets himself up into 8th place. But Big Blue's not done. Looking back down the inside of him into Brooklands. Side by side here, Doris gives him the space. Big Blue squeezing through. Doris Steer still on the inside for Luffield as Big Blue there slides it around the outside. Can he get a decent enough run here coming out of Luffield? Doris is back ahead of him for now, but Big Blue there would have got a better exit coming out of Luffield and will have to run down the start finish straight. I think that Doris has just about got the momentum though to hold on to this one. Big Blue looking to the outside here, coming down towards Cops. He's got a wheel alongside Doris Steer. Doris Steer on the inside here, coming into turn 1. Big Blue trying to keep it around the outside, but he's not going to be able to keep the momentum there. Doris Steer holding on, and Doris there has got Raids now on the back of him. Raids getting ahead of Big Blue up into 9th place. So Big Blue there, his persistence didn't pay off in the end, unfortunately. John Boy's still on the back of Ollie, of Mike. Ollie's still running in 3rd place right now. It seems to be dropping off at the front too though. Ollie is not on the pace of Mike and John Boy tonight. And this is all playing into the hands of Mike, who is, as I said before, standing on the cusp of taking his 4th Clio Cup crown, and what an achievement that would be. He won season 11, he won season 12, he won season 13, and season 14 could potentially have his name on it, ready and waiting in the Motive Racing trophy room. Ollie Marr still running in third ahead of Nick, followed by Charlie and Ozzy. But as things stand, John Boy would stay in championship contention for the final race of the season. Obviously, he's 28 points behind. Oh, he gets sideways there going through Chapel, but keeps it on the back of him right now. But John Boy, as things stand, as long as Mike hasn't got the fastest lap, he would keep himself in contention. In fact, even if Mike did get the fastest lap, actually I think that John Boy would be eliminated from contention if Mike got the fastest lap, because I think that Mike is well clear in terms of race wins. Let's have a look. Mike has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 race wins to his name so far this season. That is unbelievable. John Boy, I don't think he's got anywhere near that amount of wins. John Boy's only got 2 race wins, but he's had so many podiums. So yeah, 9 race wins from Mike. That's absolutely ridiculous. That is insane. So yeah, I mean, that just speaks for itself, doesn't it? I mean, give him the trophy already. No, don't really, because Ollie, to be fair, has got his fair share of race wins this season. Ollie's taken 5 race wins, but 9 race wins for Mike. I tell you what, he'd be a deserved champion this season. He goes deep there, coming through Chapel though, and John Boy there gets the run, and John Boy takes the lead off of Mike, coming onto the Wellington straight here. So did a bit of a lapse of concentration there from Mike. That's all that John Boy needed, and John Boy now into P1. And as things stand now, would be within 26 points of Mike, and would definitely be extending this championship battle to the final race. Obviously, Ollie closer to Mike in the standings, but not on the pace of these two tonight by the looks of it. But John Boy inside for Brooklands. Into Luffield we go, tries to hold it around the outside there. Mike trying to poke a nose up the inside, coming on the exit of Luffield. But John Boy should get a decent run here coming out of Woodcote. They're still side by side. Mike did get a very good exit there, but having to take a tighter line through Woodcote, I think that John Boy will be able to stay ahead coming into Cops Corner. It's going to be quite close actually between these two. John Boy just squeezing ahead here as they come up towards Cops. And who's going to be coming through this one first? Mike there on the inside. John Boy keeping it around the outside there. But Mike gets it done back up into the lead of the race. And these two chopping and changing right now. But Mike leading us down towards Magnuson Beckett's here on lap 10 of the race. These two giving us an exemplary show of how to battle each other cleanly. But these two are still pulling away from Ollie. And John Boy really needs to be bringing Ollie into this, but he also needs to not be losing points to Ollie, because Ollie is also well ahead of him in the championship, as is Mike. So this situation right now is pretty much a John Boy's got nothing to lose at this point. He really hasn't. He's basically lost his championship unless he does something drastic. He's got to force Mike into some kind of error, do something obviously cleanly and within the bounds of racing, but obviously he's got to do some sort of gamesmanship here, surely, to think that he would have a chance of winning this championship, because otherwise Mike's just going to be able to be consistent and bring it home. But Mike doing absolutely everything he needs to right now, as we've got 8 laps left to go here in this second race of the night, and it's currently still these old rivals battling it out over the race lead. Ollie there running in third place is actually dropping back into the clutches of Nick here. I wonder if Ollie's got damage here, because he is not driving like the Ollie that we've seen over the course of this season. He really isn't showing the sort of pace that we've come to expect from him throughout the course of season 14 here. He's been absolutely stellar since the word go, but tonight he just seems to be a little bit out of sort. He just seems to be a bit flat. I don't know, the car just doesn't seem to be alive under him like it has been over the course of this season. We've seen so many rounds this season where Ollie just his aggression and his motivation seems to be there in abundance, but tonight it's really just not coming to the fore at all. He seems to just be falling further and further off the back of the top two. He's not even making mistakes trying to catch up. He's just driving around. It's almost like he's just not got that hunger in him anymore. But Mike and John Boy here coming out through Woodcote here for the 11th time in this race. These two are going to battle it out over the race win here for the second race of the night. Nick pulling up onto the back of Ollie. You've got Charlie there running ahead of Ozzy, and then these guys absolutely miles ahead of the battle for P7, which is going on between Park Pooper, Raids Fader, Thoris Deer. And Big Blues on the back of them, but obviously a lap down on them running in P10 here in this race. We're going to go back to the leaders though, because Mike and John Boy coming through Magnuson Beckett's here for the 12th time in the race. And John Boy sliding around a little bit there on the back of Mike, still can't find a way through. Mike there a little bit wide there coming out of Chapel, and is John Boy going to be able to punish him for this? Coming down the Wellington straight, he might have a chance here. Potentially John Boy could be making a move here for the race lead if he's clever about this one, down towards Brooklands. Mike's just firing off ahead. He's got that one covered at the moment as Mike. Ollie's still running just ahead of Nick as they're coming down towards Brooklands again, but Nick's just still a bit too far back off of Ollie to really put him under any real pressure at this point. Raid Fader with damage there on the front end of the car, which will be affecting him in his battle with Park Pooper and Doris Deer. But John Boy and Mike here coming over the line to start lap 13 of the race, and John Boy has got the lead off of Mike. So when did this happen? Must have happened through Brooklands and Luffield, because John Boy is now in P1. So Mike must have made a small mistake there, and John Boy hits the front here, but still plenty of laps left to go, and he's got to defend this for everything he's got. But John Boy once again in a position where he will keep the championship alive going into the final race of the season, but with not enough drivers I think in the session. I think that Michael will just have to finish the race and he'd be able to win the championship, but nonetheless John Boy would have the pride of being able to take it to the final race. But coming down the Wellington Straight here into Brooklands we go. He's defending, he's now reverting back to the racing line, and Mike here down the inside into Brooklands we go. John Boy trying to close the door, he can't close it though because Mike's there on the inside. He's going to have the inside though for Luffield though is John Boy. Back down the inside he goes, keeps it there, just squeezes Mike out of the way a little bit, and John Boy gets the lead back off of Mike there, just by the skin of his teeth there, maintaining the P1. And through the Woodcut we go once again. John Boy still holding on, but Mike is going to try and come back at him here down the start finish straight. John Boy might have to defend a position coming into Copse Corner as Mike looking to the inside. John Boy there a little bit onto the curb there as they come now into turn one once again, but John Boy leads still. Mike though is putting the pressure on him more and more and more, as Ollie's still holding on ahead of Nick for third place in this race. But down towards Magnussen Beck as we go once again. These two continuing to put on a great show here out the front, as John Boy there defending his inside line. Mike there going a bit wide there as they came through Beckett's. Through Chapel we go once again. He's not got a run here on John Boy, and John Boy will be able to hold on comfortably coming down towards Brooklands. He's defending. He doesn't really need to defend. He's far enough ahead of Mike to be able to hold on comfortably here coming into Brooklands. There's Ollie and Nick still battling over third and fourth places. Charlie has managed to gap Ozzy a little bit there in that battle for P5 and 6. Park Poop has stretched his gap to Raids a little bit, and Thorist is... In fact, Raids and Thorist have been passed by Big Blue, so Big Blue's unlapped himself on those two. Raids and Thorist still battling out over 8th place at this point as they're coming out onto the Wellington Straight. But John Boy's managed to gap Mike a little bit over the course of lap 14. You can see he's got just over half a second of a gap over him. So John Boy just looking a bit more comfortable here out the front. But as I said before, his championship starting to slip away a little bit here. Smokey's now left the session. Hopefully he can get himself back in for the final race of the evening. But through Beckett's and Chapel we go here, and it's John Boy still holding on grimly ahead of Mike as we come down the Wellington Straight once again. John Boy now weaving around, trying to break that toe there, doing everything he can to try and stop Mike from getting that slipstream. Into Brooklands we go again. Oh, and John Boy's got it wrong, and Mike swoops around the outside there, but he goes very deep there, going through Brooklands, and completely misses the corner. And John Boy there, panic alarm over there. No dramas there for John Boy. I think he didn't actually get it wrong. I think Mike just took too much speed into it, and Mike there not able to do anything there. John Boy maintaining P1. Very calm driving style there from John Boy. Didn't get freaked out by the fact that Mike was swooping around his outside. Knew that Mike had gone way too late on the brakes, and didn't panic. Just waited for his opportunity to present itself on the exit of the corner. Ollie and Nick still fighting it out over third and fourth places. You've got Charlie, who's still just about a second ahead of Ozzy at this point. Park Poop has been passed by Big Blue, so Big Blue's unlapped himself on Thorist, Raids, and now Park Pooper. Big Blue obviously has got the pace tonight, but has got quite unlucky in this second race due to a bit of damage earlier on. But John Boy and Mike still 1 and 2 here down towards the end of the Wellington Straight we go. Into Brooklands once again. John Boy just still keeping Mike at bay. Ollie's still keeping Nick behind him at the moment as they're coming down towards Brooklands. Ollie defending that inside line there as they come into the corner now. As things stands, Ollie will still have a chance in this championship, but he's not got the pace of Mike, so he really needs to hope that Mike gets involved in some scuffles here in the final race of the season, which is coming up in a few moments time after this. Both of them will be starting from near the back of the grid though. But through Cops we go once again, and it's still John Boy and Mike tied at the hip here as we come down towards Magnussen Beckett's again. Mike the 11 little looks, just trying to distract John Boy. John Boy got a bit of a slide there as he came into Maggots, but seemed to hold it. Is he going to get a good enough exit here? He does get a decent exit, and Mike hasn't really got much room to work with here down the Wellington straight. I think John Boy should probably defend this one though, and he does move to the inside to defend. As Mike now looking to the outside into Brooklands we go again. John Boy has that line covered off. And into Luffield we go, he has the inside still. And Mike no way around. We've got 1 lap left to go here in this second race of the night. And John Boy is going to keep this championship fight, or keep himself in the championship fight. As things stand, the gap between Mike and Ollie will be 10 points. So Ollie would need to finish 5 places in front of Mike and get the fastest lap, or finish 6 places in front of him. Without it, if Mike were to get the fastest lap, he'd have to finish 7 places in front of him. So Ollie's got a real task on his hands here if he wants to win his championship. John Boy's pretty much out of it, because all Mike needs to do is finish the race to finish ahead of John Boy in this championship in the final race of this season. But John Boy nonetheless is going to extend the battle to this final race, because he's got the P1 and he's going to cover Mike off it coming down the Wellington straight. I can't see John Boy throwing this one away now. This race, that is, as down to Brooklands we go. John Boy parking his car on the inside. There's going to be no way through. Mike's going to try around the outside, but has he gone deep? Surely he has. And John Boy there, very comfortable, very relaxed, knows that he's got it covered. And into Luffield we go. It's going to be John Boy out of the final corner to take a race win here in his second race of the night. And I'm sure he'll be pretty chuffed with that. Only his 3rd win of this season. His consistency's kept him in the championship battle. But nonetheless, it's going to be a race win here for John Boy. As over the line he comes. Mike here takes 2nd place and takes a step closer to his 4th Clio Cup crown. But he is going to have to wait for the final race to see if he can do it. Ollie taking 3rd place, minimising his damage there to Mike, but now sits 10 points behind Mike coming into this final race of the season. Nick takes 4th in this one, ahead of Charlie in 5th, followed by Aussie Albie, who brings it home in P6 in the end. And these guys are well clear of Park Hooper, who's going to bring it round into Luffield. He's just behind the lap car of Big Blue there, but Park Hooper is going to come round to take 7th place here in this race, ahead of Big Blue, who comes over to finish in 10th. Raids Fader in 8th place is going to finish a couple of seconds ahead of Doris Deer, who'll be the last driver on the lead lap. We've got Smokey jumping back in, and Mutts Nuts as well. Looks like he's going to be jumping in as a reserve for the final race of the night. Obviously, he can race in the final race of the night on Clio night, but he has an F1 race on earlier in the night, which means he can't race here for the first 2 races. But John Boy taking the win with Mike in 2nd, and Ollie completing the podium. John Boy with the fastest lap of the race, taking it off of Mike, so that'll be crucial for him. Obviously that will cut the gap down in the championship to Mike down to 24 points, but he would need to finish 12 places in front of Mike if he's to take this championship. So it's all but over for John Boy for the Clio Cup for season 14. Ollie still with a semi-realistic shout of winning it, but he needs Mike to have problems. 10 points separating Mike and Ollie. Coming into the final race of the season, guys, we'll be back in 5 minutes for the final practice session, which will precede the championship deciding race, which will be in a few minutes time. So don't go anywhere, stick around, and yeah, should be a cracking end to the season. Oh shoot. Yeah, he can do the final race on Clio night, but he races F1 before, so he can't do the first 2. Yeah, I think it's some other league. 10 points, I think, between Mike and Ollie. It's not over. It's all. It's yes, it's not over for sure. I think he's bailed. I think so. Right, Ollie drops 76 points. He's on 648. So, yeah, the gap's 10 points between Mike and Ollie. So, Mike's on 582. Ollie's on 572. John Boy 558. So 24 points, John Boy. Same as it was at the start of the night. So basically, Ollie needs to finish 6 places ahead of Mike, or he can be 5 places ahead and get the fastest lap. Or no, actually no, because Mike's got more wins. So Mike's absolutely trouncing everyone on wins. He's got 9 race wins. Ollie's got 5, and you've got 3, John Boy. Now you had 2 before. I couldn't believe it when I saw how many race wins you'd had, because you've been really consistent. You've always been on the podium. Yeah, you had so many podiums. But yeah, Mike's got 9 race wins, so he'd win on countback. So basically, Ollie's got to finish 6 places ahead of him. Well, there's 12 of us here. If Ollie wins and Mike comes P7, Ollie's champion. Yes, Mike. Sorry, is that Nicky Lauda talking? Is that Nicky Lauda? Sorry. I'm gonna put Smokey on pole because I feel sorry for him for disconnecting. So, Smokey P1, Big Blue P2, Big Blue P2, Thoris P3, Raids P4, Part Pooper P5, Aussie P6, Charlie P7, Nick P8, Ollie P9, Mike P10, John Boy P11, Mutz P12. Here we are then, guys. Will you join us here for the final race of the season here for the Clio Cup at Silverstone National, the final race of season 14 here on Project Cars 2, and we are just getting going for the formation lap, which will get us into order, reverse grid order, based on the results that we had a few moments ago from race 2. I'm going to quickly give you a bit of an update with the championship situation after drop rounds coming into this final race of the season. It is a bit like this, or is exactly like this. Mike leads the championship on 582 points. He is 10 points clear of Ollie, who is on 572 after the drop rounds. Realistically, these are the only two left in the battle, and it's going to take something special for Ollie to beat Mike, because he needs to finish 6 places ahead of Mike and hope that Mike doesn't get the fastest lap. If Ollie is able to get the fastest lap, then he'll win the championship by 2 points if he finishes 6 places ahead of him. If Mike and Ollie tie on points, Mike will be champion because Mike has got more race wins. Mike has 9 race wins to his name this season. Ollie has 5. So if Ollie were to win this final race, that would put him on 6. He'd still lose the championship on countback. So he would need to finish 6 places ahead of Mike. Basically, Ollie needs to win and Mike needs to finish 7th or lower. Even if Ollie were to get the fastest lap and finish 5 places ahead of Mike, Mike would still be the champion because Mike has more wins. Basically, Ollie has to finish 6 places ahead of Mike and hope that Mike does not get the fastest lap. I mean, he's got a very, very tall task on his hands. I don't know whether it's going to be possible for him, but we're underway nonetheless here, coming through turn 1 for the first time here in this final race of the night. As Nick the Villa's looking to the inside, looks like he's actually lost out there to Mike, so Mike's already got ahead of Nick the Villa up into 9th places, down towards Maggotts and Beckett as we come for the first time. It's Smokey from Big Blue with Raids Fader ahead of Doris, followed by Aussie Albie, as we can see Charlie down the inside of Park Pooper there coming through on the exit of Chapel Curve. Has he got the move done there? Park Pooper's actually got a better exit there and should be able to get back ahead of him, I think, coming down the Wellington straight. Actually no, looks like Charlie might have got it done there ahead of Park Pooper, as Doris here is moving ahead of Aussie Albie up into 4th place round the outside, but in fact, on the inside actually, should I say. Aussie goes very late on the brakes coming into Brooklands and it's going to keep it around the outside, but Doris gets a move done. Aussie being on the slide, and that's going to have Charlie around the outside here at Luffield, and Aussie there loses out. He's going to potentially be a bit vulnerable here to the guys behind, but actually gets the inside there ahead of Charlie and manages to stay ahead of him on the exit of Luffield. So Aussie there still running in 5th place ahead of Charlie Goff, but Smokey leading ahead of Big Blue right now, just under a second between Smokey and Big Blue. You've got Raid Spader ahead of Doris, ahead of Aussie and Charlie, and then you've got Park Pooper followed by John Boy, who's in 8th place right now ahead of Ollie, and Mike here is down the inside of Nick, so Nick's got back ahead of Mike, but Mike's now got the move done on him into Cops Corner, so Mike there back up into P10 as Nick there down to 11th, and the Mutts Nuts there running in 12th place, racing as a late substitute appearance here tonight for this final race of the night, as Big Blue there sliding through, or rather it was Raids Fader, sorry, who was sliding there coming through Maggotts and Beckett and Chapel, but Big Blue there still running in 2nd place. Smokey though trying to break up a bit of a gap here over the rest of them as they're coming down towards Brooklands again. You can see in the background there you've got John Boy here, it's not John Boy actually, sorry, it's Park Pooper there on the inside of John Boy and Charlie. John Boy trying to keep around outside Charlie here into Luffield we go. Can John Boy get it done? Charlie there a little bit wide there coming through Luffield, and John Boy gets himself up into P6 there on the inside. Charlie there on the curbs a little bit on the outside, but John Boy there has made pretty quick progress here through this pack. In terms of the two championship contenders though, Ollie's running in 8th and Mike's currently just trying to make the move here on Park Pooper coming down towards Cops. And there's a crash! Oh, a Monster Energy delivery into the wall there. That was Raids Fader there, who's hit the wall coming into Cops Corner. I think was he pushed into the wall by somebody? I'm not quite sure. Looks as though the championship contenders have got through unscathed. And Mike here has managed to get ahead of Doris there up into 8th place as they come into Beckett. So Ollie there running in P6, Mike in 8th, and Raids Fade is disconnected from the session, so that's another driver, that's another position that Mike now can't drop to. But saying that, he was unlikely to drop to that position because obviously Raids had already spun it, so he wasn't going to drop much further than that. John Boy's up into 3rd place, so what progress John Boy's made as Ollie looking to the inside here of Aussie coming into Brooklands. Thing is though, Ollie's got Mike behind him now, so he needs to get a move on. And Ollie here looking to the outside of Aussie coming on the exit of Luffield. As here we come through Woodcote once again. Ollie here with the slipstream. Is he going to look to the inside of Aussie? Is there a gap that's going to form here for Ollie Moore to get ahead of Aussie up into P5? Aussie parking his car in the right places here as they come through Cops Corner. Ollie here has managed to get ahead of Aussie Albie on the exit of Cops, so Ollie there up into P5, and Mike makes his way through as well, so no dramas there for Ollie and Mike. Aussie Albie down a couple of places there. Two championship contenders up into P5 and 6. Oh, Mike though goes very deep there, coming through Beckett's. Does he get it turned in though? As Aussie's coming back at him here, and Aussie moving ahead of Mike here coming out down the Wellington Straight. But Mike's here is going to have the inside coming down towards Brooklands, and I think that Mike should be able to return the favour here on Aussie, back up into 6th place here. And Mike does make the move here on Aussie as Ollie's now trying to size up Charlie in the foreground. Charlie there stays ahead as Mike almost tapping his championship rival in the rear there as they came into Luffield. But Ollie's still keeping ahead of Mike, parking his car in the right places over the course of this race. Obviously didn't have the pace to keep up with him in the first race, but now he's ahead of him. He can just park his car in the way and make sure that he can park the bus and ensure that Mike has nowhere to go. But Ollie needs to be making progress here on Charlie as quickly as possible, otherwise he's going to be vulnerable to here to Mike. Being in the sand, which means that you can't really go at your own pace, so you kind of leave yourself in the mercy of the driver in front of you as they come down towards Maggotts and Beckett's again. And Charlie there still leading this pack of cars. Ollie, Mike, Ozzy, Part Pooper, Nick, and the Mutts Nuts all in the train of cars. And the Mutts Nuts here making a move down the inside of Nick. They're up into P9, so Mutts Nuts moving up another position there. Gets himself into 9th place. But Mike's still on the back of Charlie. In fact, Ollie's now ahead of Charlie. No, he's not. As Doris is disconnected. Oh, and Mike's down the inside here of Ollie. Mike gets a bit of a slide there. And Ollie sees him coming, has to give him the space. Into Luffield we go. Did Mike get a bit loose there? Nonetheless, it's worked out for him a treat. And he's up into P4 here. So Mike now ahead of Ollie into 4th. Wow, incredible developments here as Charlie loses out to Ozzy as well. So Charlie Goff losing 3 places there in the space of a couple of corners. But Mike now ahead of Ollie up into 4th place. So Mike's going to be pretty happy with that. Ollie's going to be kicking himself that he let his opportunity to be ahead of Mike slip here. As you've got a big train of cars here all the way from Mike down to the Mutts Nuts. But I think that Mike and Ollie might start to gap this pack now. And it might be a battle between Ozzy, Charlie, Part Pooper and the Mutts Nuts here for P6. I reckon that these two will start to check out and we'll put some space between them. Oh, and Ollie's made a mistake. What's happened to Ollie? No, Ollie's made a mistake coming through on the exit of Chapel Curve. He's lost out to Ozzy and Charlie. And is that his championship in the bin? Potentially that could be the moment there for Ollie. He's going to get the run here on Charlie coming down towards Brooklands and is back into P6 here. But that could be the moment there that sealed the deal and could potentially be giving Mike a step closer here to his 4th Clio Cup crown. John Boy leading the race. Obviously he's 24 points behind Mike coming into this final race. So even if he were to win the race, obviously Mike would only need to finish. Basically Mike would need to finish the race because with only 10 drivers left in this race, you get what is it? You get 14 points for a P10. So no, you get 12 points for a P10. So if John Boy were to win the race, he'd get 32 points. Mike would get 12 points for a P10 if he were to finish in that position. So yeah, Mike would win the championship regardless. As long as he can finish this race, Mike has got the championship over John Boy regardless. But obviously if Ollie were to finish 7 places in front of him, Ollie could win the championship. So if some disaster were to befall Mike, Ollie would need to finish in P2 or P3. Ideally P1, but I don't think that's happening because John Boy's leading the race at the moment. But that's the situation right now. I think that Mike pretty much has got one hand on the trophy here at the moment as he's coming through Luffield now trying to close in on the podium spots here. Ollie trying his best here on the back of Ozzy Albie. But that last lap from Ollie might have just put the nail in his hopes of winning this championship here for season 14. Which would be gutting for him. We've still got about over half of this final race of the season still to go as we're coming out of Copse Corner. As Ollie getting a bit of a run. Oh, in the background. That's Nick there going very wide coming out of Copse onto the runoff there. Gets it back on the road, but he's lost time now to this battle in front of him. Mike has wasted no time pulling up onto the back of the top 3 though. John Boy, Smokey and Big Blue here showing the way, but Mike is now within 7/10 of a second of Big Blue. So he's really made the gains in the last couple of laps. In the meantime, we've got Charlie, who's got Ozzy, the Mutts Nuts, and Ollie all in a big pack of cars here as they come down towards Brooklands. Ollie there getting squeezed out. He's getting absolutely swamped here at the moment as Part Pooper dipping a nose down the inside there of Ozzy. Contact there between them. Ollie's going to swoop ahead of Ozzy, but Ozzy's going to keep it around the outside here of Luffield. As those two are still banging doors there on the exit of Luffield. And Ozzy there onto the runoff area. Ollie just being a bit aggressive there, pushing him to the edge of the track. And there's contact again there between the two of them, coming through Woodcote. Oh, and there's more contact. Oh, no. Boys, come on. And Ozzy and Ollie both onto the runoff there on the exit of Woodcote. And Ollie now is getting pushed around by Part Pooper, and his championship is pretty much out of the door now. The Mutts Nuts in the meantime has mugged them all up into 5th place. So the Mutts Nuts says, thank you very much, boys. I'm going to pick up these places. And gets up P5 at the moment. But Ollie has got it back ahead of Charlie coming into Maggotts and Beckett's. So Ollie there back up into 6th place. The Mutts Nuts though laughing his way all up into 5th place. As John Boy still leads ahead of Smokey with Big Blue, and now Mike very much with these guys as well. So Mike has done a fantastic job here to get himself into 4th place and on the back of this lead train of cars, which is currently led by John Boy, Smokey and Big Blue. So it's now a four-way battle for the lead here, as we're just over the halfway point in this final race of the night, the final race of the season here for the Clio Cup for season 14. Oh no, there's a crash there between Ollie and Aussie Albie, and they're both into the barriers there, and they're down to the back of the pack, and Aussie there has got damage on the front of his car, and Ollie seemed to sideswipe him there as they came out of Lovefield. What was going on? That was a bit suspect there, I've got to say. And they both continue on their way. And Ollie, did he intentionally take Aussie out there? I hope not. I don't think he would have done that. No, I don't think he would have done that. I'm going to forget that I thought that. I dearly hope he didn't. But John Boy nonetheless leads the race, and John Boy could be on course to take second in the championship here with the race lead at the moment. Obviously, it gained 20 points on Ollie. So John Boy, if Ollie can't gain a few places here, if Ollie can't get up to P8, P7 or P8, John Boy could nab second in the championship off of him. John Boy has less race wins than Ollie, so that could play into Ollie's hands. So it could be quite close here in that battle for second in the championship here. I think it's safe to say that Mike is going to be a four-time champion of the Clio Cup at the end of this race, unless he has a simply catastrophic end to it. So I think Mike pretty much has got this one in the bag now. With Big Blue there once again wide out of Cops. We've seen that all night from him. He's really struggling with understeer coming through that section of the track. But Smokey's still running in second place ahead of Mike at the moment. Mike's attacking to the outside, goes a bit wide there. Mike's struggling through Beckett's as well. We've seen that over the course of tonight. Seems to be struggling a little bit through there, but nonetheless gets the run out of Chapel, and he's actually got the move done here on Smokey. So Mike there getting a beautiful exit out onto the Wellington Straight, and is now into second place here in this race, and can now chase down his old rival for this race win. And if Mike can get ahead of John Boy, that could help Ollie in his battle for second in the championship with John Boy. But this, I reckon, this man here is our champion-elect here for season 14. He's won the last 3 seasons. He's going to probably make it 4 in a row by the looks of things at the moment, unless something drastic changes here in the final 7 laps of this race. But John Boy, nonetheless, would love to go out on season 14 on a high. He's taken the finale in the season in the Clio Cup, I think, quite a few times now. Can remember quite a few seasons where he's won the final race, but obviously winning the final race doesn't get you the championship, unfortunately. It's what you do over the course of a season, and currently Mike has done the most consistent job. 9 race wins for this man, and looking on course to do the business here. Well, what a season it's been. And it's gone down to the wire here for this one in the Clio Cup. Obviously, in past seasons we've seen Mike having the best of it, but obviously with the drop rounds coming into play, it's kept John Boy in it right until the last. Ollie has given it absolutely everything he's had. He's led the championship, actually for most of the season as well, to be fair to him. Led the championship all the way up until last week, where he got headed by Mike. Mike came into tonight with a 2-point championship lead, and over the course of tonight, Ollie just has not been on the pace of Mike, unfortunately for him. Mike's just been the quicker man. Mike and John Boy have been the quicker drivers over the course of tonight. It's been Mike and Ollie for most of the season, but tonight John Boy's definitely been Mike's closest challenger. Big Blue has made a mistake coming through Cops, and what has happened here to Big Blue? I think he's put it in the wall on the exit of Cops. Yeah, he has. So Big Blue there with a bit of a mistake as he gets it back on the track, but he's going to be he's way down on everybody else at this point. Mike, John Boy, Smokey's still in this battle for the win as well. Smokey's not giving up in this one. He's still right there with them as we come into Brooklands again. There's Mike here down the inside of John Boy as he's going to make the move here for the lead of the race, and Mike there, superb move, gets himself up into P1. John Boy, as it stands, will score 30 points for a P2. Ollie running in P10 will score 12 points. The gap between those two in the championship, I think, is 16 points. So as things stand at the moment, John Boy would take second in the championship, but if Ollie were to catch up to Aussie and get ahead of him, then Ollie would finish second in the championship based on countback, seeing as he's got more race wins than John Boy. So John Boy, ideally for him, would want to get ahead of Mike and cement his second place in the championship. Mike's going to have the championship, I think, pretty much in the bag regardless here. But into Beckett's we go once again. John Boy looking around the outside of Mike. Can he get the momentum here? He's going to get a good exit here coming out onto the Wellington Straight. And John Boy is going to get the move back done here on Mike and takes the lead once again. These two chopping and changing positions here. But with Smokey right there, they're going to have to get a move on and get their act together as they're coming down towards Brooklands once again. But John Boy there seizing the initiative once again here. As into Brooklands we go. Smokey still keeping these guys on their toes at this point. Charlie all over the back of Nick. You've got Parp Hooper there in the background on them as well. It's all happening at this point as we've got 4 laps left to go here for this Clio Cup season at Motive for season 14. As Mike here looking to the outside of John Boy into turn 1. John Boy covers that inside line off and has got that one held on to comfortably here. Out of the 23 races we've had so far this season, John Boy's taken 13 podiums. Just the 3 victories to his name, which is surprising. I was saying before, it surprised me massively when I saw that. Mike so far this season has had 18 podiums from 23 races. The only reason why Mike's dropped a load of points is because he had an absolute horror show in Alton Park. Oh, bit of contact there as Mike swoops around the outside of John Boy and gets himself back up into the lead. John Boy's going to go for the cutback, but he can't do it. No way through there for him. Sorry, it wasn't Alton Park even. But nonetheless, Mike there moving back through ahead of Mike moving back ahead of John Boy, should I say, as they're coming down towards Copse again. But Mike, your champion elect here, currently in a championship taking position here, looking set to make it 4 Clio Cups in a row as we're coming down towards Magnus and Beckett again. John Boy's trying to keep him on his toes. Smokey still in the battle for the race win here, and it looks like Ollie's up into 9th place. So this is big news here for Ollie, because this thing stand, Ollie would now score, and you know what, I think I might have actually got the calculations wrong. You score 14 points for a 9th place, because that's 7 up from a 16th, so 14 points, 2 points for 16th, 4 points for 15th, and then you score 6 for 14th, 8 for 13th, 10 for 12th, 12 for 11th, 14 for 10th, hold on. So Ollie would be scoring 16 points as things stand for a 9th place finish. So John Boy would be scoring 30 for a second, although he's in the lead now is John Boy. He's got running outside of Mike again here coming into turn 1, so it changes again, but Ollie will be scoring 16 points for a 9th place. John Boy now leading the race again will score 32, and the gap between them is 16 points, but Ollie would get it on countback of race wins. So John Boy needs to win and needs the fastest lap. That is the situation right now. For John Boy to get second in the championship, he needs to hold on ahead of Mike, and he needs to have the fastest lap of the race as well. Let's have a quick look and see who's got the fastest lap at this point. It's Mike, so John Boy needs to get the fastest lap. He's not going to get it by leading the race, so I think Ollie should be able to get the second place in the championship here and get the fastest, well, not the fastest lap, but Mike's taking it off for John Boy, and that's crucial here for Mike, for Ollie, sorry, tripping over my words, as you might be able to tell. I've got a bit of a sleep loss accumulation, but John Boy back ahead of Mike here as they're coming over the line, about to start the final lap of season 14 for the Clio Cup here at Motive Racing. John Boy here on the inside, Mike trying to go around the outside here into Copse Corner. Who's going to come through it first? Mike has got the momentum there around the outside. Does he go wide though? He does go a little bit wide. That would have scrubbed some speed, and John Boy's going to get a better run here down towards Magus and Beckett's. They're still side by side though. Mike's managed to keep himself there. Here we come. As John Boy will have the inside here for Beckett's. Mike's going to try and hold it around the outside. Has he got the momentum to keep it around the outside of Chapel and get the run down the Wellington Straight? He goes very wide there, does Mike, and that would have scrubbed him some speed there. John Boy should get a better run here down the Wellington Straight. No, Mike did get a better run there coming out down the straight. Mike here will have the inside down towards Brooklands. These two are going to fight it out through the final few corners here of season 14 for the Clio Cup. Here we come. Mike there on the inside. John Boy trying to hold it around the outside. Mike just squeezing through the gap. John Boy a bit of a slide there, trying to cover Smokey off, but Mike here has done enough, I think, to get the win here in the final race of the season. And Mike is going to take his 4th Clio Cup crown, but not just that, he's going to cap it off with a P1 here at Silverstone National. Mike's had to fight it all the way to the flag in this season. He did not have this one all his own way. He's going to take a well-deserved championship success here in the Clio Cup for the 4th time in a row. Mike is your race winner ahead of John Boy in 2nd place. Smokey completes the podium there in 3rd, ahead of the Mutts Nuts, who's going to come over to take P4 in the end, with Charlie over in P5. Part Pooper in 6th, ahead of Nick, who's going to come round to take 7th place in a few moments' time. That was Big Boo, the lap car, who crashed there with Nick over the line. But, sorry, not Nick, Part Pooper even. But Aussie is going to come around to take 8th place here in this final race of the season. And commiserations to this man Ollie, because he gave it an absolute hell of a fight this season. He will get 2nd in the championship ahead of John Boy with all of the drop rounds said and done. He will get 2nd in the championship, so Ollie, commiserations, but he is the runner-up here for season 14. I'm going to quickly do the championship standings, guys. Going to quickly fill these in and then work out the drop rounds for the top drivers. But I'm absolutely sure I know the result already. I'm absolutely positive. So Mike there, fastest lap of the race and the race win. Driver of the day, got to give it to Mike. Coming from the back there to take the final win of the season. Only 10 finishes for the final race of the season here. So it's Mike taking the win. John Boy bringing it home in 2nd. Smokey there in 3rd. Ahead of Mutts Nuts, who brings it home in 4th. Charlie there, P5. Part Pooper brings it home P6. Nick the Villa there, 7th place. Aussie Albie 8th. Ollie 9th place. And Big Blue P10. That's it for the finishers here for the final race. So there we go. So Ollie dropped 76 points from his total, I think, tonight. Although having said that, that could have been his drop round. Let me just double check. His drop round was 76 points before. Let's have a look. So that was Ollie's drop round. So his drop round is now 72 points rather than 76. He still does lose the championship, but I think it's capped to John Boy a little bit more than it was. So essentially, it's Mike who wins the championship on 616 points. Ollie finishes in 2nd, does he? Yeah, Ollie 2nd on 592, and John Boy 3rd on 588 points. So I want to say a big congratulations to Mike on taking season 14, his 4th Clio Cup in a row. What a job from Mike. Ollie 2nd in the championship and John Boy 3rd. So that's Mike gets the gold, Ollie gets the silver, John Boy the bronze. Thanks ever so much, guys, for joining us for season 14 for the Clio Cup. Join us on Thursday for the final round of the touring cars. We're not done here on Project Cars 2 yet for this season. We've got one more round to go. Also, we've got ACC championships for the sprint on a Wednesday and the main championship on a Sunday still to wrap up. And we've still got 4 weeks of the F1 league left as well. So plenty to look forward to, plenty to watch. But guys, it's a big thank you from me, and we'll see you on Thursday. Take it easy, everybody, and good night.